Oh, good morning, everybody. How was your weekend? We are live and shit. You better believe it. I was 30 seconds early. 30 seconds early. It's all hot and muggy outside. Had more rain, more thunderstorms. Oh, Malaya was out soaking up the sun. We'll talk about that in a minute. Woo, we got to get to it. First, before I get to anything, I want to give a huge shout out. I posted this show yesterday morning. The first moderator that was in is Diana Howery. That was at 7:26 a.m. yesterday morning. Shortly after was Pat Kay. A little later in the afternoon, to welcome all of you, was Kat OG. Now, Kat did explain herself for not being active in here today. She said, I would just like to take this early opportunity to welcome every single person who comes into chat during the stream. Unfortunately, I won't be in because I have a JOB and will catch the replay. Okay, so she's off the hook. Now, what I'm going to have to do is have an executive meeting with Susan and Chrissy about not being in yesterday to welcome people. This is what I'm going to catch when I talk to those two. Look at Bob! Look at you, Mom! Look at Beck is on the drums! Look at Beck! Look at Bob with his tooth! Yeah. There you go. Yeah. But as long as everybody got a hello, I guess we're okay. Uh-oh. Just me said if you judge one, you judge all. I'm sorry. No cherry picking. That's okay. No cherry picking around here because I know we're all here for the same reason, and that is to talk about these children, whether it's Lily and Jack, Summer Wells, Michael Vaughn, Harmon Montgomery, whoever we're talking about. Now, I'm going to start this before I tell everyone hello and get to comments. I have noticed around Al Gore's internet that, and it happens in every case, happened in Summers, happened in Sebastian's, didn't really happen in Harmony's, but that's okay. The YouTube shame. You see, we're in the slums of the internet here, my friends. We're in the slums of the internet. We're in the gutter of the internet. So there's some people that use platforms like Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and they all look down on us and say, oh, that's people over there. They're just about the money and all they use is clickbait. Have you ever heard of a network called Fox News? Have you ever heard of a network called CNN? Have you ever heard of a network called NBC, CBS, ABC? The title of my show is Another Twist in the Case of Jack and Lily Sullivan. So I'm just going to enjoy the gutter with my friends and people that show up to talk about missing children and victims all together. Ooh, good one, True Crime Beat, News Nation. Don't forget the Daily Fail. Woo, you wouldn't. Oh my gosh, some of their headlines make my butthole pucker. Let's take a minute and tell everyone good morning and so good to be back. I missed you guys on Friday. Well, not all of you, because we had a great Discord live. I need to talk to True Crime Beat about that because she wasn't there. Again, she's going to be part of the executive meeting. Hold on. I stand corrected. Pat K said, yes, she was. Okay, I'll take you off my list. I'll take you off my list because I'd hate for you to look at your computer and shit and fall back in it laughing like Susan and Chrissy would if I ever said anything to them, because we all know I wouldn't. Oh, the YouTube shame. Not gonna allow this link or this link. This one's lying. That one's lying. In this case, it's already obvious that there are teams set up. Team Dumpster Dan and Team Coppertone Malaya. Who's the worst of the two? Who's lying? Who's not? Well, in this case, they were both home. They have totally different stories. And we all have to admit that they have dick all to do. We're not talking about career people that are stacked up with responsibility. They had 3 jobs to keep an eye on Lily, Jack, and Meadow. Now, I'm certainly not going to fret anyone for letting their kids play outside, but the story doesn't make any sense. They won't go in the woods. They're too sick to go to school. We can't hear the sliding glass door, but when we didn't hear them outside anymore, we called immediately. I don't know what's going on. That's some deep sleep. Of course, there's a lot of rumors about maybe there could be some met use. Again, they have dick all to do. They have nothing to do. Malaya doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a job. Old boy reportedly goes to work once a week. And on the day the children went missing, they had no work for him. I couldn't imagine. But hey, that's what they say. It's hard to neglect children when there's 4 adults around. Now, looking at the condition of the, I'll just say, property, back to what I already said, they have dick all to do. There is no reason for it to look that way. And I mean none. There is no reason for it to look that way. Nani said, best chat on YouTube, member for 32 months. Love and hugs to you, girlfriend. Hang on, I gotta sneeze. All right, let's get to your comments from the last show. Then we'll get to the show. All right, Village for Life said, hi, Brooks. Well, hi, Village for Life. Thanks for keeping Lily and Jack's case going on your lives. You're welcome. Did you see pictures of Daniel and Meadow? He got visitation with her. I will send it to you if not. Well, I found it. Didn't take long because he changed his profile picture. And what a beautiful, beautiful baby. Now, I'll tell you what, old Malaya was an incubator with that one, because that baby looks just like her daddy. The word that Daniel used, visitation, tells me that maybe Meadow may not be in the custody of her mother. Because if Malaya's on the run, we've heard New Brunswick, we've heard the reservation. How's he going to know where to meet her to see his daughter? And I'm sure someone has more information than I do. It's just something that popped into my head. If old Malaya is honestly hiding out and keeping Meadow from him because of, as some people speculate, what happened to Jack and Lily, who granted the visitation? Well, we know it wasn't Malaya. if that story is true. Callie's girls said, great show, Brooks. I think she's protecting Meadow, in my opinion. Well, that is a obvious opinion. But if she's protecting Meadow, then who granted the visitation? Who granted the visitation? It appears just from this picture, and yes, it's a new picture. It's not an old picture. Who is taking care of Meadow? You can see it on the screen. Sleuth Station said Durwood. I call him Douchewood. I really do. Can't even use your real name. You're slurring your words. You sloppy Joe is what you sounded like. And all you did was mimic a rumor, dude. That's all you did. Sleuth Station, my girl, said Douchewood called in hot as hell to Dolly, and it was really sus because of how defensive he sounded. She said, I don't know, it rubbed me wrong. Ooh. Well, I have a feeling Dolly didn't lose any sleep over that one. So I think we can make sense of what's going on. Meadow is obviously not with her mother. Meadow is obviously not with Malaya, because if she's honestly hiding out, like Douchewood said, then no way she's going to meet up with him, with Daniel. Good morning, Gaelic girl. Good morning, baby. Now we get to this. Okay, I got to put this on my phone so I can see it. Malaya went to the beach. Now, I didn't have to look at any comments. I already knew what was going to be said. I already knew. I knew because this was posted by a friend of hers. I already knew that people that are Team Malaya were going to say, well, she has a right to get out and relax. Or they would say, oh, that's an old picture. Hey, the friend already posted it to Instagram. It's a new picture. She was proud of herself. She thought she did something good. All right, so this lady posted, is that the girl with the missing kids? Cheryl said, yes. Why? She posted, laughing my effing ass off. What a scumbag. She knows exactly what happened to them. Nothing like being glorious and happy while your babies are missing. All right, that is her opinion, okay? Cheryl said, we got her out for the day. She needed a day out. She definitely doesn't know, but I can't really say much until the investigation is over. But I will fill you in on it all. She is still human. She needs to live. Being depressed at home all day crying isn't going to change anything. Why did you screenshot this? All right. This lady replied, maybe continue to help with the search. I don't even have kids, but I have some I'd die for, and I damn sure wouldn't be posting myself happy as a clam in fucking shit on the beach. Don't let her fool you. She definitely does know. Absolutely disgusting. Oh, and because my friend wanted to see. So when people say it's an old picture, then why didn't the friend just say, this is an old picture. Don't worry about it. I'm just showing her in happier times. Wouldn't you say that? Now we talk about some other mothers of missing children. I already see some people are backing out because they don't like this. That's okay. We don't have to agree. That is quite okay. Lazy Simon that went to Tybee Island because just had to get out of the house and was partying up on Tybee Island. Her son was missing. Katie Proudfoot, who had her ass stretched across a Harley Davidson. People lost their minds with Sebastian missing. Kayla Montgomery with Hermie Montgomery missing, who, by the way, is still missing. I can't even touch that one. Megan Boswell, that went on to live her life with Evelyn missing. Megan killed that baby. Leilani killed her baby. We don't know what happened to Sebastian. We know that Adam Montgomery killed Harmony. Candace Wells at the water park. 2 days later, 3 days later, I apologize, with her daughter missing. Now, I am not suggesting for a damn second that Malaya is supposed to just sit in the house and stare at the wall. Don't post this shit. You have a little bit more respect for your children than to allow your friend to say, I got her out. I'm so proud of myself. She's out. It's one thing to say, I had to get out and take a walk. I need some fresh air. Don't post that shit. Don't do it. Just don't. And I could see a friend saying, you need to get out. You need some fresh air. Don't post it, man. Don't. We all know what happens in this dumpster fire called the internet. And either way, it's not a moment you would want to capture. Okay, this lady, she said the mom was into my work and was laughing and shopping the other day with her youngest. That would be Meadow. She was also there just 1 week after they went missing in their shopping. I can't say what's wrong or right to do in this situation, but I know I wouldn't be out shopping, enjoying myself while 2 of my kids were still freshly missing. What to do? What to do? What to do? I guess nothing. Really, the only person I find credible in this case is badass Belinda. And yep, I'm not saying anything bad about her. I'm just saying Belinda is 100% telling the truth. And the reason I'm saying that on this channel is because of all the people that are trying to pick holes in this woman's story. Why wasn't she there for the kids before? Well, why, if they got a grandma, are they missing? Parental alienation. Parental alienation. And I don't expect anybody to be holed up in the house all the time, except for me, because I don't want to go do a damn thing. Don't let your damn friends advertise it, please. If you need to grab a jug of milk, make sure you don't act like you're having a good time. It's just a bad look. I'm sorry. It really is. Let's get to Belinda.
These babies are gone. My heart tells me that. I am the grandmother of Lily and Jack. I am the grandmother on the biological father's side. My son is Cody Sullivan. He's not in jail. He's never been out west. He does not have a criminal record. And right now he's living with me. He has been for 9 months.
How did you find out that Lily and Jack were missing?
The mom of my grandson called me. We were in town.
Okay, I don't know if Belinda here is misphrasing or if when Malaya called her, she only reported to her that only Jack was missing. Because she said, the mama of my grandson. I don't know. And no, I don't think Belinda is lying about anything. Anything. No.
She asked if I heard the news. She sent me the article that was on Facebook showing the kids missing. I couldn't call Malaya yet, so I waited till we got home. And I called, well, I didn't call her, I texted her.
Hold on. Uncle Buck said she is 100% lying about her son, Cody. He has a criminal record in British Columbia. It's public knowledge. Now, my understanding, what has been explained to me, I'm not part of the family, but that person has a different middle name and a different birthday. Thank you, Lori Green. Thank you. That's my understanding. But if somebody can correlate the middle name and the birth date, I would be happy to entertain it. And as far as Cody having full control over Malaya, I get it. I get it to a point. But at what point do you get your children away from the mess you looked at every day for 3 years? Malaya could very easily be a victim in this too. And I get it. There's teams already building. We have Team Daniel. We have Team Malaya. On this channel, we are Team Lily and Jack. By the way, I'm going to put the link down. If anybody wants to come up, I will not bite. My cat's in the other room, so he won't bite you either, because you all have a lot to say.
And she told me that, yes, that the kids were missing, that they've been missing since this morning. I was in a state of panic, shock. But in the back of my mind, I kept saying, well, they'll find them. I mean, I'm assuming that they'd find them. So I told her, well, we'll head out first thing in the morning and help with the search. It was around between 3 and 3:30 in the morning. A couple of cop cars pull into the driveway. The lights wake me up that I'm a fairly light sleeper, so I see the cars pull in, so I knew what it was. So they come inside. They only stood in the kitchen. They wanted me to wake Cody up, and they wanted to know when was the last time he had seen the kids, and that they were just making sure that the kids weren't here. And then they left. So we showed up Saturday morning, me and my sister, and we met up with my daughter, and we started, well, I asked Malaya, I said, Malaya, I said, you know your kids. Nobody knows their kids like their mom. Where do your kids normally go to play out in the yard? What direction do they usually like to explore? And she said, well, they always play up in the little woods right on the side. I said, well, okay. I said, we'll start from that point and we'll work our way out. We had spoken to a search and rescue, and we weren't allowed on the other side because that's where they were searching at the time. So we just started combing through the woods up through there. We were gone for a couple of hours. I'm yelling for Lily and Jack. We always call Jack Jackie Boy. And yeah, that went on for a few hours, but those woods, I started to feel that I can't see them being in the woods.
Now, there's one officer that is saying she still believes that the babies are in the woods. Lori Green said, I think Daniel's family knows exactly what was going down. Well, they have to. They live right there. I mean, they live in the same rat trap as those kids were being raised in. Think I'm going to sit around in a mess like that? Oh, hell no. I'd have old Bubby-in-law, the grandma that kicked him out the next day, knowing that Jack and Lily are missing and could possibly be in the woods somewhere. I'll be like, nobody has a damn thing to do. Everyone is getting up and cleaning this shit little by little, little by little. I'm not saying it's going to take an hour, That's it. Johnny R said, yes, I do. I've been a sub to this channel for many years. Why was I timed out the other day when Mr. Shell was on asking, not mad? It was a legit question, but it's okay. God bless. Honey, that chat was flying so fast. People were getting timed out that didn't do anything wrong to try to find the person that did do something wrong. So don't even worry about it. If I had seen your question, I would have asked Ernie.
There's trees everywhere. You literally have to climb over trees, climb under bushes. It is really, really thick. We come back out and I went in to see Malaya again. I assumed she was in shock. She was very, very non-emotional, very just flat, monotone. But Malaya's very soft-spoken anyway. That she's not usually excitable. I thought that's made her a really great mom. She was an excellent mom. She never raised her kid or her voice at the kids. That it was always, now Lily, what did mommy say? And I used to think, now if anybody's meant to be a mom, it was her. A part of me still feels that.
Why only a part of you still feels that? What do you mean?
After seeing the place, seeing the condition of the home, it was like the total opposite of what I knew of Malaya. She was always clean, very clean about herself, about the kids, about her home. This home looked more like a camp. Now, I don't know if it's from...
Well, I live in town, Amy, and we don't have an HOA, but it's not going to look like that. No. Look at all the things that the kids could get hurt on. That's just me. I'm not being snobby. I'm not being judgmental. You don't need a homeowners association to tell you how to wipe your ass and keep your house clean. That's just my opinion.
From all the people that were there, because I didn't show up till the day after. But it was very unkempt. I was pretty surprised.
I love you.
Lily is, she was my little dream girl. That's the first granddaughter. And I loved that she had the brown hair and she had a space between her teeth, which I had when I was a kid. He does not have a criminal. They were the picture perfect family.
Pat K said there's no HOA in Canada. Now, I have a neighbor named Linda, and I'm telling you what, you could eat off her driveway. If we had an HOA in this neighborhood, I'm going to tell you what, she'd get herself a ticket book and a damn United States Marine uniform off of eBay, and she would be walking the streets. I could see old Pat K doing it. Woo! Because Pat K has a gorgeous house. Gorgeous house. Yeah, damn Melinda. She'd chew you up sideways and down the other. God.
And Malaya started to tell me that they were having problems and she wasn't happy. She told me that she wasn't happy and she thinks she's going to leave. And I told her that we supported whatever she decides, that one good parent is way better than two broken ones.
And then how did that change your relationship with Lily and Jack?
I thought it was going to change, but it didn't. Yeah, it didn't change. Malaya, she was a sweetheart. Anytime we wanted to see the kids, she'd come by for a visit. She'd bring them by all the time. It was actually really, really good.
So when was the last time you saw the children?
A year and a half, almost, really. It's about a year and 9 months.
How did you deal with that?
Really, to be honest, maybe I didn't deal good enough with it. I looked at the fact that when her and my son separated, my son walked away. He chose to walk away, that she wanted sole custody of the kids. So she petitioned the courts for sole custody, and when she did that, he said he was done.
Were you ever formally questioned?
Yes.
So then it's about a month after Lily and Jack are last seen that they come and formally question you.
So it's about 3 weeks. They question Cody for an hour and a half in the vehicle, and then they question me for 2 hours in the vehicle.
How did that feel to you?
I didn't mind. I mean, to me, I expected I'm the grandmother, so it wasn't a surprise to me. I'm assuming the sooner they do all that, I wish they would have done it sooner, that the sooner they can move on. So I didn't have a problem. My son was a little upset about it. He said they made him feel like he did something wrong, and he said he hadn't seen the kids in 3 years. So he was a little upset about it. That he said that they really come.
Oh, boo-hoo, absentee daddy. Little upset because they were asking you about your missing children. Now, she mentioned Malaya wanted sole custody. I don't know how the family court system works in Canada. Now, here, you can have sole custody. You're the custodial parent. The other parent pays child support. So if he signed over and said sole custody, did he sign his rights over? I don't know how that works. I don't know. Maybe somebody in chat can explain it to me or grab the link. Up to you. This is a part where we have to educate Brooks.
Madam Hard, they wanted to know what her favorite color was, and he said they were babies when I seen them last. He said she was just learning what she wanted to figure out to eat. I don't know what her color is. So yeah, he was pretty upset.
Have they ever talked to him again since then?
A couple of days ago, they had contact, and they told him that they weren't looking his way anymore, that everything's fine.
And have they ever given you any information?
No, it's always the same thing.
Which is what?
They've got everybody on it. They are looking at all avenues. They can't divulge any information that could compromise their investigation. It's the exact same words.
Why are you so sure they're not in the woods?
I have children. I have grandchildren.
Okay, we'll get to this because I have to answer a few of your comments. Amalou, you know, every time I see your screen name, I think of this country song. It's Hello, Mary Lou. Okay, but I sing Amalou. Hello, Amalou. Goodbye, heart. Sweet Amalou, I'm so in love with you. I said hello, Amalou. Goodbye, goodbye, heart. Okay, no more singing from me. Amalou said, seems like it's repeated behavior with her in relationships and not wanting to be with the fathers. We've seen this in other cases. We call it babies for benefits. Done with that pogo stick. That pogo stick's going to pay me child support. My question is, was pogo stick number one paying Malaya child support? Tree said, even if you have sole custody, the other parent still pays support. Here in Canada, it's family law. Thank you, Trees. Thank you. Thank you.
And I see what kids are like through the woods. There's no reason for any child to wander deep into the woods. There's just not. I think somebody hurt these kids. I think somebody hurt them.
You don't sound very hopeful.
No. Our last day searching on Monday and seeing the woods and seeing the searchers and everybody everywhere. There's no way those kids are in the woods. There is nothing more pure and innocent than a 6 and a 4-year-old.
She's right. She's right. And I think she has been fed a ton of bullshit by all the adults involved. And only so much that a grandma can do. So much that a grandma can do. All right, no more singing from me, but I do want to talk about this. Because our friends over at the behavioral panel, and yes, we will put their link in for you all to see the full enchilada, are breaking down Daniel's interview to pick out deception. So for those that went skedaddle, because your old buddy Brooks was pointing out some of Malaya's shortcomings, well, you got out too early, because now we're going to talk about Daniel. Because I'm telling you, until the investigators clear it up, no way can just one person be responsible at this point. Nani said, I must admit that yard gives me anxiety. Let me tell you what, I've got crazy anxiety right now because I've still got dishes in the sink from last night. And I agree with Belinda. They have searched and searched and searched the woods. Tomorrow is July 1st. We're going on 2 months. They've searched and searched and searched those woods. All right, let's get to the breakdown, my friends.
It's been 6 weeks now since you've seen Lily and Jack. I just want to ask, how are you holding up?
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody basically in the world at this point is always wanting to know like what happened. It's been from sadness to anger at this point. And I know the RCMP and major crimes are working around the clock trying to piece everything together, and I'm grateful for that. But it always leaves the question, 6 weeks has gone by, and we know at this point they're not in the woods. And where are they?
Did you feel in the beginning that they suspected you?
Of course. The stepfather was always a prime suspect right off the beginning.
You felt that from the beginning?
Yeah.
But you don't feel that now?
No, I don't feel that at all. I asked for the lie detector exam, the polygraph exam. I gave them my phone. I told them do drug tests because there's a lot of rumors online about a drug party. I know the person that said those rumors, and it was just to take the heat off themselves.
Was there any kind of party?
No.
Was there any kind of gathering that
No.
someone might have thought was a party?
No.
There were no people at the house?
No. Not the night before.
Okay, you mentioned you offered to take a polygraph test.
Yeah.
Did the RCMP take you up on that?
Yes, they did.
And how did that unfold?
That unfolded in my favor. They obviously know I wasn't lying about anything.
So they said, "Yep, great, thank you. Come in for a polygraph test."
Yeah, it took a little while to set up, and
When did you do that test?
I don't know the exact date, but that would be at least 3 weeks ago, probably.
So roughly 3 weeks after the disappearance.
Yeah.
And I think most Canadians wouldn't have any idea what's involved with that. Can you describe the process? You go in and just tell us right from the start.
We go in, sit down in a big comfy chair, and they have multiple sensory pads. You have them underneath your forearms, you have them underneath your butt, and you have them underneath your feet with your shoes off. You have a sweat gland on one finger. You have a measuring instrument for blood flow that goes in and out of your hand. And you have a cuff on your arm for blood pressure to measure your pulse.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was extremely nervous. Especially with the first question they asked you, did you kill Lily and Jack?
That was the first question they asked you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What went through your mind when someone's asking you that question so point blank like that?
Trees, I would love for you to come up. You seem to know a lot about Canada. You say, I don't believe Daniel or the mom. Stories are changing. RCMP, no. I can't disagree, my friend. I can't. $150,000. Our friend Pat Kay, who's a real Canadian as well, said she's never seen a reward like that. And shame on anybody, reward aside, that won't say what they know. We say on this show all the time, what sounds better, jail or hell? Clean your conscience. Clean it. Clean your conscience. I'll post the link again. Again, my cat's in the other room, so no one's going to bite you.
Your mind has a massive release of chemicals, I guess you would call them. It's like your stress levels just astronomically through the roof, and your body doesn't know what to do, because it's not every day the way you're hooked up to machines in an interrogation room where someone asks you questions like that.
What other kinds of questions did they ask you?
All the questions pertain to the death of Lillian Jack. Are you accessory to the murder of Lillian Jack? They were all.
So all of the questions assumed that the children are no longer alive?
Yeah.
There were no questions at all about, did you take them somewhere? Could
No.
they be somewhere?
All right, Greg, what do you got?
So we talk a lot about eye movement, eye accessing cues, and about internal dialogue. This is one of the single best internal dialogue indicators I've seen. When we say that, we typically mean a person's looking down into their left. When he's asked the question about the date, watch him trying to figure out, okay, and I can't tell you what he's thinking, but that was the day I went here and here and here. And so he comes up with a date as he's figuring that out. He's rifling likely through a series of events that would tie it back for him. That we see in a lot of people when we ask a hard question that they should know the answer to. Where were you Tuesday? And they go, that's a different story. This is about a person who's trying to give you real facts. This is the beginning of when I start to say, this guy may be neurodivergent. You ask a hard question, there's only a way that he knows how to process the data, and he's going to hand it back to you in a different way than you perceive it, which means you need to question him very differently. And we're going to see, while this woman does a pretty good job of questioning, there's some missed opportunity there because she's not taking into account how this thing works. The other interesting piece, he shows the same level of concern when he's asked that as he did when he was talking about being a suspect. A little bit of wrinkling in the brow, not a whole lot. Then he gets to how pure facts work and how the actual poly works. Watch his hands come up. He gets animated. Fact-based answers, lots of animation. Complex concepts, not much animation. Has to rifle through and figure out what it means, works through it. But you can see him raise his hands, start to illustrate by that when punctuating your brain's thoughts with your body, your hands, some item or that. And all those barriers, those closed up things we were talking about are gone. Remember, I say if you've got 5 pieces of body language and those are gestures, illustrators, regulators, adapters, and barriers, those adapters and barriers start outnumbering the other stuff, it probably means you need to pay close attention. But this guy does it as a baseline, and I think we're okay. These concepts are giving him a hard time. That tongue jut out of his mouth at the first question that they ask him is a little awkward. It would cause me great concern if he didn't follow up with it pretty quickly, because he holds his tongue out of his mouth, not just a rejection tongue jut. Desmond Morris said was baby's first no. She should have asked a follow-up question here, in my opinion, because when he said the first question was, did you kill them? He didn't answer it. I would have said, so did you? But that's not exactly the way most people behave. And here's how I know that the guy is not neurotypical or does not fit the standard model. When she asks him a question about how he felt, what does he say? I would say, I was angry, I was enraged. I felt hormones rolling over me. I felt chemicals rolling. He answers in a very literal way. And a lot of people who are not neurotypical will answer the question they think you're asking with no concept of what you really meant by the question. That's the beginning of it for me. He doesn't answer with indignation. I was madder than hell. He just says, hey, I had these chemicals. And then she says, then when she goes into the second question, she doesn't follow up either. So this guy gets past both of those, but I don't think he's doing anything out of the norm. I think it shows us insight into how his brain works, that he is going to answer a question a physical way rather than saying, I felt like this, I was angry, I've been this. And we'll find later, the right question gets the right answer.
Okay, so right now, Greg and Scott seem to be smelling what Daniel's stepping in. They seem to believe him right now. Okay. Now, our girl Linda Glover, said poor Casey Anthony was out searching high and low, looking for Kaylee. Casey was searching every night in every bar, looking in every nook and cranny. It was hard work, but she knew it was her duty. Can we have the comment of the day? I replied to Linda. I said, yeah, O.J. Simpson was looking for the real killers on a golf course in Florida.
Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, really interesting, Greg. He seems very much in a world of things rather than feelings. I agree. He gets super animated on the polygraph stuff, and great illustrators. Like he's taking us through the whole thing. It's better the description of a polygraph than I've ever had from anybody. I think. You know, there's sensors I've not heard other people describe there. So it's like, oh wow, you really paid attention to this.
And
Seems
probably
like
asked questions because he knew names for things.
Totally. I think he was very involved with it, and very interested in it. You know, interested in the tech and the process, in the same way that he's interested in the process of sadness to anger, but we're not seeing the sadness or the anger. But he's interested in the process and the delineation between the things. So great baton gestures, which are the gestures that conduct along to the rhythm of the speech, as Scott would say, specific words and phrases, is a great way of saying it. We get good baton gestures from him. So his body and mind are very much in alignment. Hard to do that when you're making stuff up. And listen, why would he make this stuff up? So this is really a baseline of what kind of person have we got here? Somebody who enjoys the tech, enjoys the world of things, isn't quite so much engaged in the world of feelings. Chase, to your point, no change in those feet, radically, still cross. It would take him at least 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to get up, to, you know, from that. So he's pretty relaxed, he's pretty calm in this situation. And you might go, okay, but why be so relaxed and calm? The kids are missing. Well, 6 weeks into it, he's maybe more a things person than a feeling person. He's from Nova Scotia. That might have some aspect to it. So there could be, and we don't know his relationship with the kids. We know he has more kids, but we're kind of predicting, well, if you have kids, you always feel the maximum amount of emotion for all of the kids that you have any relationship with. Well, maybe not all of them, maybe none of them, perhaps. I don't know his relationship with the kids. We're just going, well, a good person, a good father would have the best possible relationship with all kids, but that's not life. You know, this just doesn't work like that necessarily. I mean, great if you're a father and you do have a brilliant relationship with absolutely all of your kids within a blended family. Absolutely. But wow, tough, hard to do, you know, hard to do. My anybody who's in that kind of relationship situation, my hat is always off to them. I'm like, wow, that's real dedication. That's a real choice to go, I'm going to make the best of this relationship. That's not, you don't necessarily fall into that. You know,
Virginia said, I can't wait to find out what happened to these kids. This is annoying me at this point. It really is. Because we want answers. We want answers now. We want the case solved weeks ago. We want the case solved weeks ago. Kids can't just disappear. Adults can. Hell, they can do it on their own. Remember the old stories? Dad went out to get a pack of cigarettes and never came home. Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live that would get up there and say Ronald Reagan was his real daddy. And Ronald Reagan went to get some milk for his Cocoa Puffs. Ronald Reagan never came back. Of course, that's a joke. Ronald Reagan is not Eddie Murphy's father. But you know the old adage. Adults can disappear. Kids cannot. They just can't. And what we have seen in these cases over and over, well, there you go, is that if a child wanders off, they're normally found fast. They want to be found. They're not going to be living in the woods. kind of like my cat OJ. He gets out, he knows where his bread's buttered, he comes right back home. Kids don't exactly have the same sense of smell. It doesn't work that way.
Spike. And first there's fidgeting, and it's not casual. It's like a pressure release valve. The system's dumping this tension out, and this the second that this thing gets airtime, and I don't think it's
Okay, looks like I got Idiot of the Week. I guess I'm going to go make myself my own t-shirt. The World According to Misty Ray said Belinda saying the mother of her grandson called could be she has a grandson from another woman. Otherwise, why not just say Malaya called her? Just a thought. That's exactly what it is. Malaya never called Belinda. It was another grandson's mother that called. Well, I'm the Idiot of the Week. I better go print myself a t-shirt. Thank you, girlfriend, for pointing that out. That makes perfect sense.
Old.
That unfolded in my favor. They obviously know I wasn't lying about anything.
So they said, "Yep, great, thank you. Come in for a polygraph test."
Yeah, it took a little while to set up, and
When did you do that test?
I don't know the exact date, but that would be at least 3 weeks ago, probably.
So roughly 3 weeks after the disappearance.
Yeah.
And I think most Canadians wouldn't have any idea what's involved with that. Can you describe the process? You go in and just tell us right from the start.
We go in, sit down in a big comfy chair, and they have multiple sensory pads. You have them underneath your forearms, you have them underneath your butt, and you have them underneath your feet with your shoes off. You have a sweat gland on one finger. You have a measuring instrument for blood flow that goes in and out of your hand. And you have a cuff on your arm for blood pressure to measure your pulse.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was extremely nervous. Especially with the first question they asked you, did you kill Lily and Jack?
That was the first question they asked you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What went through your mind when someone's asking you that question so point blank like that?
Your mind has a massive release of chemicals, I guess you would call them. It's like your stress levels just astronomically through the roof, and your body doesn't know what to do because it's not every day the way you're hooked up to machines in an interrogation room where someone asks you questions like that.
What other kinds of questions did they have?
Thank you, trees, because I'm tired of saying it over and over and over. You can pass a poly and still be guilty. You can. You can fail one and be innocent. You can. That's just how it goes. Hey, good morning, Jinbug.
Ask you.
All the questions pertain to the death of Lily and Jack. Are you accessory to the murder of Lily and Jack? They were all.
So all of the questions assumed that the children are no longer alive.
Yeah.
There were no questions at all about, did you take them somewhere? Could
No.
they be somewhere? When did you find out the result of your test?
Immediately right after.
What did they say to you?
You did a good job, you passed.
And how did that feel?
Good.
And did you feel that there was any further suspicion on you after that point, or was that sort of conclusive?
No, that was really when I seen the turning point for it's starting to taper off with investigators.
Do you know if Malaya has taken one?
I don't know if I can say it, but I will anyway. Yes, she did take one.
Okay, she took one. Do you know the result?
No, RCMP wouldn't let tell me I asked.
You said you feel like everyone in the world wants to know what happened to Lily and Jack.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think this is getting so much attention?
Well, just the mysterious and nature of everything and how strange everything is. The RCMP, you know, I mean, they have to keep a tight lip on everything, but there's a lot more that meets the eye with the case.
Is there something that you think the public doesn't know that you can share that you want the public to know?
That's a hard one because I don't want to impede the investigation in any way. It is still a missing persons investigation. It hasn't pivoted to any type of criminal investigation.
Lori has a question. She said, why did the polygrapher, I'm sorry, not polygrapher, that's totally different, polygrapher, not ask, does he know if the kids were abducted? Was he involved? Now, I watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of documentaries, and of course, they always bring up after the fact about what was asked by law enforcement or by the person doing the polygraph. Abduction normally encompasses murder. So they won't really ask about abduction. They did this in the polyclass case. And by the way, that freak of the week that abducted and killed Polly, he passed his polygraph until he confessed and they found the evidence.
But the kids were seen the day before. I know a lot of people didn't know that. I still see a lot of stuff online that the kids could have been missing for days. They were out of school for days, and they were seen in the Glasgow area on camera the day before this appearance in the afternoon.
Where was that?
I don't know if I can say that, but it was near the Highland Square Mall.
Was it with you?
It was with me, Malaya, and Meadow, and Willie and Jack were there too.
And are the police aware of that?
The police were aware of that since.
Do they have that video?
Yes, they do. I also talked to my coworker in the parking lot as well, and he verified that with investigators as well. So for all the speculation, they were gone days ahead of time, or they were seen the afternoon on camera before the disappearance.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
So you've heard me say it 5 bazillion times since our second video on the behavior panel. Let's look for what's missing first. And here's why. If you look at this clip again, all of the discussion has been self-centered. He discusses all the details of the case to clarify, not to seek return of the kids. He talks about people wanting to know what happened instead of getting them home. He makes no plea for their return, and no desire is visible on my end for people to help find them. There's no urgency other than his discussion about his own emotions during the polygraph exam. This could be a bunch of hallmarks of having accepted the fact that they might be deceased, but I'm not totally convinced. But I will say there's enough time to go through that grief process, the denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. This is called the Kubler-Ross grief cycle, but there was enough time there. There are a few stress indicators here, and they're here in this clip, but they're not any around guilt questions and responses. And in the ones that are present here, they don't occur in clusters. And not every human's going to spill out behavior that screams the truth. The questions are, and the setting are critically important. And so far, there's no direct line of questioning to get involvement of guilt involved. There is a strong tongue jet again when he says Lily and Jack. So it's the second time that we've seen a strong tongue jet in relation to the mention of these two children. And I'm wondering now if we're seeing a baseline stress response that we need to mentally catalog and keep an eye out for it. But this video, number 3, which is our third video, was my indicator we're probably dealing with somebody who is unique on the neurology spectrum here. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, really, really interesting. Okay, so still very low energy. Feet are still crossed, no change there. There's a great sense of resignation, I would say, in that energy. There's maybe some Nova Scotianness to it as well, but there's a great sense of resignation. Just as you say, Chase, that resignation could be past the whole grief cycle. And also that grief cycle doesn't necessarily show up in the order that it's often described in. You can jump from moments and you can jump back again. And you could even have anger with the kids. Of course, it makes no sense to us here because we're not going through the grief. But if you have been through that grief, you can often feel anger towards the victim of a grievous moment. So there's all kinds of things that can happen there that won't seem, from an outside viewer's point of view, you may not be able to work out why would somebody feel this at this moment. Also, Chase, for my money, in order to get round to going, hey, if you see the kids, here's what they look like, and he'd have to go against the line of questioning of this interviewer. And is he the kind of person that would take control of this interview? Like you and I, maybe all of us here, maybe we would, maybe he won't and he doesn't. So there's a lot of possibilities here. Chase, the biggest thing on my mind at the moment is you are wearing a watch that I've not seen you wear before. It's the Omega Swatch Mission to the Moon watch. It's a lovely watch.
How the shit did you know that?
Because I pick up on these things. And it's a lovely watch. And there are some people out, it's a beautiful watch. There are some people out there who think that Swatch made a bad move, a grievous move doing this. I'm one of the people who think it was a wonderful move that they made.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about, Swatch and shit. Let's get back to them breaking down Daniel.
Suspicion on you after that point, or was that sort of conclusive?
No, that was really when I seen the turning point for it's starting to taper off with investigators.
Do you know if Malaya has taken one?
I don't know if I can say, but I will anyway. Yes, she did take one.
Okay, she took one. Do you know the result?
No. RCP wouldn't let tell me I asked.
You said you feel like everyone in the world wants to know what happened to Lily and Jack.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think this is getting so much attention?
Well, just the mysterious and nature of everything and how strange everything is. The RCMP, they have to keep a tight lip on everything, but there's a lot more that meets the eye with the case.
Is there something that you think the public doesn't know that you can share that you want the public to know?
That's a hard one because I don't want to impede the investigation in any way. It is still a missing persons investigation. It hasn't pivoted to any type of criminal investigation. But the kids were seen the day before. I know a lot of people didn't know that. I still see a lot of stuff online that the kids could have been missing for days. They were out of school for days, and they were seen in the Glasgow area on camera the day before this appearance in the afternoon.
Where was that?
I don't know if I can say that, but it was near the Highland Square Mall.
Was it with you?
It was with me, Malaya, and Meadow, and Willie and Jack were there too.
And are the police aware of that?
The police were aware of that since.
Do they have that video?
Yes, they do. I also talked to my coworker in the parking lot as well, and he verified that with investigators as well. So for all the speculation, they were gone days ahead of time, or they were seen the afternoon on camera before the disappearance.
How often are they in touch with you?
Investigators now, I'd say maybe once every 5 days. And usually I'm the one who calls or messages them.
And how's that changed over the course of the 6 weeks?
Well, from the beginning, it was almost daily, tapering off to where it's only like once every 5 days now.
And how do you feel about that?
It's good and bad. I mean, I like to talk to them in person about any little small details I come up with or anything I can try to bring to their attention, which may help the investigation. So I don't get to see them often, so it's always over phone or messaging, and it's hard to really convey what you want to say when you're not in person. But then I also know the eye's not on me. The investigators don't see me as part of the disappearance.
How do you know that?
Well, when you're going from daily to tapering off every 5 days, I mean, I already gave them everything on my phone. I'm the one who originally said, here, take my phone. We'll go through all my banking information. We'll go through all my stuff on my GPS from Google.
And you were offering all that up right from
Yeah,
the
I
beginning.
offered everything
And why were you doing that?
to show them that I want to get the investigation moving. I know I have nothing to do with any of it. A lot of speculation is you killed the kids. Was come out and say it straight as it is.
What do you think when you read that?
It's a lot of nonsense, obviously. I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack. And I just think a lot of people online they're seeking drama. That's the main thing. Everybody's allowed their own opinion, like I said before, but it's hard on the people that were actually there and missing the children. Still haven't got to see any of my kids, including Lily and Jack. And that's been really tough, going from a family of 7, including my other 2 kids that live in Halifax now, going from a family of 7 in the blink of an eye, your family's ripped apart and you're left alone.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
So there's one thing here, and I'll just do this one thing. His willingness to hand over his phone early in the case and framing it verbally as helping the investigation. That's a strong behavioral indicator of cooperation. And on the surface, that's very good. But I just want you to watch what happens next. He denies killing the children flat out. But the thing here is, no one asked him if he did. And this is where you need to pause and listen with some precision here. The interview and the overall investigation at this stage centers around this disappearance, not confirmed harm, not murder. And he may be borrowing from a suggestion from the polygraph examiner. So when, in other cases, and maybe in this case, when somebody jumps to a murder denial unprompted, it can mean one of 2 things. Number one, they've already reframed the event in their mind, consciously or unconsciously, around death. Or 2, they're answering a question that nobody asked. And that should always, always raise an eyebrow. So now, what didn't he say? What's missing? He didn't follow up with, and I had nothing to do with them disappearing. He didn't touch the core accusation. And that's called strategic denial in most books. When you're looking through this, it's denying something that's technically true and skipping the thing that's damning. And I've got a cold, if you're wondering why my voice sounds weird right now. But again, this whole interview drifts. The questions are soft. The emotional tone stays calm. And I think somehow, in a sit down about 2 missing children, no one asks anything that would make a guilty person sweat. Nobody. And that's the real issue to me here. And truth tellers usually say stuff like, you can ask anyone, or I want to prove I didn't do this. Guilty people usually speak in isolation. I didn't do it. Full stop. And this is called excluding a social frame. Like, go ask Tommy, he was with me, or whatever. But I find it bizarre that this is an interview with a person about missing children, and no one is asking about missing children. It's ridiculous to me. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, a couple of really good points for him in here too, though. Let me walk through a couple of those. He starts off, he's loosened up. If you notice, he's punctuating his brain's thoughts with his head, or illustrating with his head specific words and phrases, as Scott would say. His eyes are accessing to his right, but to a different area than they were before. So earlier it was all visual stuff, and now it's more auditory. As he's answering the questions about, it was once in 5 days. Now, the other piece is, as you pay attention to him, he's got a brow rise, which he doesn't have many, as he says, I'm usually the one that calls them, with the same really quick head nod. Yeah, look, I'm usually the one that calls them. The interesting piece is handing over your phone. I always love the fact people think they hand over their phone, then it's over. No, once you sign that document that says you're giving them access to your phone, that doesn't mean it's over. That means they're going to get what they get and keep checking. So it's interesting that people sometimes will think they've bypassed and then go put more information. There's fear in his face, really good fear. His eyes come back. He says in the beginning it was almost daily. I think he's almost childlike in the way he approaches some of his nonverbal communication. Then he becomes more communicative. His head starts moving around a lot more. And then here's the best thing that happens for him in the entire video series we've seen to now. When he says it was good and bad because I was not being bugged anymore, but they were not getting information, he shows grief in his brow. It's mild, but there's a little horseshoe, a little start of a curve, not as pronounced as mine is, but I'm not sure he can do that. That's a great, great, great indicator, because it says he cares that they are getting information from him about these children that could change things, which for me is a good, good indicator.
Okay. A very common thing that is said about Daniel is that he holds all the cards. He keeps Malaya on a short leash. So if that is the common theme regarding their relationship, do you think all these interviews and him being so active on social media is a dig at her? I have said it over and over about Seth Rogers, and yes, he gets a pass because his son is missing, but his presence on social media, I've always wondered if it's not one dig after another to get at Katie Proudfoot. Now, Don and Candace, they're just crazy. They're crazy in a can, man. Okay? They're a dent can sale. And this whole Malaya just needed to get out. I'll tell you what, there would have been no damn phone around me. There would have been no damn phone around me. I'd have been furious with a friend of mine, posting a picture of me smiling at the beach. I'd have been livid. Then I would have come out and been like, listen, I just needed some fresh air, because we know how it looks. If it looks that way to us, and this is only going to make sense to a few, well, actually, all of you, because you're smart. If we perceive it that way, don't think law enforcement doesn't raise their eyebrows and go, well, that's weird. That's weird.
Now, up to now, I've said, I think he's neurodivergent some way. I still think that. He does a stress throat clear as she asks, what do you think? And that's another good one, because he should, maybe this is all building up. Then eye accessing, as he says, the eye is not on me. He drops down to his right and down to his left. What that means is he's having some emotional feelings and some internal voice for what it means, back and forth and back and forth. You might call that looking for change in the floor, the same move. That it is very powerful. And then we see the first real emotion we see in the entire video. To your point, Chase, we don't see a lot of emotion or discussion of people and children. But when he starts to talk about all these children, all 7 members of the family, we do see emotion. That's a good sign. It means he realizes that something has fundamentally changed. Scott, what do you got?
All right. At first, when he says he's talking to the police a lot, like once a week or, once every 5 days or something at this point. But I think he says he was talking to him almost every day.
Yep.
I think maybe he was bugging the shit out of him. And they said, look, man, let's just do this once a week. Because maybe he was calling for 5. What about this? How it is when there's something like that and somebody is concerned and they get up in their head and think, well, this could happen. And they'll say, well, this could happen. And you get this barrage of what could have happened during all that. I think maybe that's what happened. They tried to cool him out by being nice to him at the same time. Because I think the minutia of that probably got old to them, wasting their time, which would make me think they might have knocked him out of the running already. So it could be wrong, but that's what I thought. Maybe they aren't looking at this guy anymore. So then when she says, what do you think about that when you read that? And about the people saying he did that, we hear him do this little thing with his voice, not a growl, not a clear. It's just this like that. I think that really bothered him. I think the whole idea of that bothers him. I think he's over it. He's just done it so many times, and he wants to say, I hate this and all that, but he's staying calm about it all. Then he eye blocks when he says, I didn't kill Lily and Jack. And this could be 2 things. It could be one of those things where a lot of people are going to say, well, he closed it. That's eye blocking. So he's lying when he's saying that. Well, you'll eye block when you're saying something or hearing something that you don't want to hear, or something you don't say, or something that bothers you, or something you really don't agree with, like some kind of a joke you're hearing at work. People block their eyes. If it's a dirty joke and there's people around, you wouldn't want to hear that. So I think this really bothers him. I don't think it's because he's being deceptive. I think it bothers him saying that and bothers him hearing those things. But at the same time, he's reeling it in and being calm about it and not getting angry. That's what it looks like to me. So instead of being deceptive, I think it bothers him and he's just not becoming angry about it or getting angry about it on the outside. Then he talks about people have their own opinion, and this is frustration that we see, and we see it all the time. It's with his legs, his arms, his little adapter there, and everything sort of moves at once when he talks about that. So, which is normal, because it's that little spike of, oh, that's uncomfortable for me. So, and then for some reason, he's been separated from the entire family. That part, again, kicks me back into something might be up here. So unless you have a situation where, like you do in narcissism, where the narcissist knocks out all your friends and everybody else in the family against you, maybe it's that kind of thing. I'm not saying his wife's a narcissist, but maybe there's something going on with the wife where she wants to point at him if he didn't do it. If somebody did it, I'm not saying she did. I haven't seen her. I haven't seen any videos on her. I don't know anything about her. But maybe that's a situation where the wife is knocking him out of those family situations to separate him and throw blame toward him. I don't know anything about any more than what we've seen in these videos. I'm just surmising something like that might be the reason, because so far I'm not seeing a lot of deception on this guy at all. So I can't imagine why they do that. So we're sort of seeing the combination of
All right. Now, some people will say this is just their opinion. This is just their opinion. But Greg and Scott actually know, not my husband, Greg, not my son, Scott. They actually are trained in, behavior. How people deflect, how they look to the left, how they look to the right, how they look down. He's saying he detects no deception from Daniel. Now we have the crazy stories going around, reservations, New Brunswick. The kids are in hiding to get away from Daniel. Daniel is controlling her. Well, he's not controlling her too good because she's gone. She's on the beach. If he's so controlling, then he would tell old mama. He would tell her no. That's my girl. She's staying here. As much as you want to believe both parents, there's always going to be a question mark until law enforcement clears it up. Exotic Prairie, my goodness, I love this comment. Asked about a party, he says, no, not the night before. Sometimes Daniel offers too much information, and sometimes he says things like that. Oh, no, not the night before. Well, then what night? Tuesday night, because the kids didn't have school on Wednesday. Wednesday night, because you called the kids out for 2 days. Most people refer to the first of the month. I didn't know what they were talking about. I'm thinking full moon or something. It's when people get their money.
Of behavior and body language of somebody who could be deceptive and somebody who could be innocent. It's almost riding the line there in a lot of ways. For me, anyway, when I'm looking at it like that. All right. Is that everybody?
No.
Yep.
Mark?
Oh,
Yeah. Look, here's the way I see it. I think he's in an interview here, which is all about and focused on him being innocent of murder. It's the way the questioning is going. And you're right, Chase, it should be an interview about 2 missing kids, but it isn't. Everything's focused on, and he's complying with that. He's complying with the frame of this interview. I think you're right, Scott, that he actually gets quite irritated, frustrated, and angry around this idea of, what did you think when you read that you killed the kids? He's angry and he wants this to stop. And I think that's his pleasure in this being over now. From his point of view, it's over that he's in the frame for this, but the interviewer hasn't shifted the frame to, okay, so now we're over with that. Let's, what do you think? Where do you think they are? What do you think happened? The frame doesn't shift. Now, Greg, I mean, I've not watched the whole interview. Is it much longer than this, or
No,
this
there's
is
only
pretty
one
much
other.
it?
Okay, the world according to Misty Ray, who's had some great comments today. Remember, we're live every morning at 9 a.m. Central. Don't be an old stranger. Come in. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. The world according to Misty Ray said, I can't get past how he says the death of. Me too. Me too. That kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies. However, I have to remind myself that these interviews are heavily edited and chopped up. This could have been an hour-long conversation that was chopped down to 8.5 minutes. So I have to remind myself of that. Either way, when he said the death of, there is such certainty in his voice. And I'm just going to assume when he was taking the polygraph, they let him know that they do not believe these children are alive. And that is horrible. That is a horrible thing for anyone to hear. Unless, well, you're the one that did it.
Only one other interchange I took out about video. That's about it.
Right. So in my view, it's not a great interview because it doesn't set him up in any way. It sets him up to try and argue that he has no guilt. Greg, well, you got a thought?
Yeah, I'll tell you that when I talked to Sadie, I watched a very short clip and we covered, and I said, look, I would go and check water because he used some really awkward word patterning, even for him. And I would say now, look, if this guy's willing to come on, I'd love to talk for us to talk to him if he come on, because he's showing a whole different vision than he had in that 1 minute little clip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it from my point of view, this still looks good. You're right. What would it look like if the questions were now more pointed towards, okay, so what's happened to them? I think he's frustrated at the whole frame of they've been murdered. I don't know whether he particularly accepts that as the full extent of the possibilities for them. I think it feels like he's gone through grief and he's accepted he's unlikely to see them, but I'm not sure he's accepted that they're murdered at this point. Anyway, and that's just conjecture from the information that I see here. Anyway, fascinating.
That's a three-way tie. Well, I don't know, Chase. That landed there at the end. I'll give you that. Nicely done.
How often are they in touch with you?
Investigators now, I'd say maybe once every 5 days. And usually I'm the one who calls or messages them.
And how has that changed over the course of the 6 weeks?
Well, from the beginning, it was almost daily, tapering off to where it's only like once every 5 days now.
And how do you feel about that?
It's good and bad. I mean, I like to talk to them in person about any little small details I come up with or anything I can try to bring to their attention, which may help the investigation. So I don't get to see them often, so it's always over phone or messaging, and it's hard to really convey what you want to say when you're not in person. But then I also know the eye's not on me. The investigators don't see me as part of the disappearance.
How do you know that?
Well, when you're going from daily to tapering off every 5 days, I mean, I already gave them everything on my phone. I'm the one who originally said, here, take my phone. We'll go through all my banking information. We'll go through all my stuff on my GPS from Google.
And you were offering all that up right from
Yeah,
the
I
beginning.
offered everything.
And why were you doing that?
To show them that I want to get the investigation moving. I know I have nothing to do with any of it. A lot of speculation is you killed the kids. Let's come out and say it straight as it is.
What do you think when you read that?
It's a lot of nonsense, obviously. I know the truth. I didn't kill Lily and Jack. And I just think a lot of people online they're seeking drama. That's the main thing. Everybody's allowed their own opinion, like I said before, but it's hard on the people that were actually there and missing the children. Still haven't got to see any of my kids, including Lily and Jack. And that's been really tough, going from a family of 7, including my other 2 kids that live in Halifax now. Going from a family of 7 in the blink of an eye, your family's ripped apart and you're left alone.
I think this is one of the most interesting ones we've done so far. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, because I walk away from this going, okay, not a lot to see here. I think the guy's fine. I think it's okay. But the interview is not a great one. Okay, so I'd like to see more, with more focus on more focus on a lot of the stuff we talked about, but especially from my point of view, like, what do you think happened then? What do you think happened? Because we know you don't think it was you, and we know that you think there's a lot of evidence that says it's nothing to do with you. Yeah, I get that. Okay, so then what happened? It would be my line of thinking and questioning. Chase, what do you think?
Yeah. A lot of children go missing, and God bless these kids. Hope they're okay and safe somewhere. But we have somehow normalized child disappearances when they happen at scale. And there's thousands per year there. And we've taught ourselves, maybe don't look too closely. And we hear agencies kind of hide behind the no evidence of abduction thing. And we kind of keep strolling. So there's a couple of things I just want to share here as a PSA. Unusual signs of trafficking that you will never hear anywhere else. The first one is unusual language for their age. Phrases that you hear are like, I'm not allowed to say, or we just moved here, in kind of a robotic tone that sounds really scripted. That's a big one. And if you hear visible hesitation when they're offered simple choices, like if you ask, do you want chocolate or vanilla? And they have confusion, and they look up at somebody that they're with. A lack of agency bleeds into the small stuff, and that's what you're seeing here. And finally, just perfect behavior and dead eyes. Like all the behavior looks normal, but the eyes are hollow or dead. And actually, I'll give you one question that you can ask if you're ever curious to unlock the truth of one of these people. Hey, what's your teacher's name? That's it. No threat, no pressure, just a question that every kid can answer in 1 second, unless they can't. And if they can, if they pause, they look confused, or they glance at an adult for some kind of guidance, that's a big deal. And this one's quiet enough to be safe, and I think it's sharp enough to break that wall. And we need better tools and better instincts for this kind of stuff. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, Chase, brilliant. One question. That's a brilliant thing to remember when you're dealing with children, because that is a big part of their life. So a couple of things. Marginalized people behave in marginal ways. And this guy's pretty marginalized. Look at how he's living. Look at that. I don't know what he does for a living. Add to that this whole complexity of what I think is a neurodivergent personality. So how he responds to authority, how he responds in any situation is going to be different maybe than yours would be. And you have to adjust to that when you're questioning. Part of the problem we see here is this is a straight line question that now is making it about him being the murderer. To your point, Mark, whether he believes they're murdered, even if he does believe they're murdered, if he doesn't believe he's the guy, that creates a whole new grief cycle and all of those things. And, we can only see what we can see. Again, I would love, Mr. Martell, you're welcome to come. We'll talk to you. We'll grill the hell out of you. When you leave us, people will believe you if you're telling the truth. If not, it's not a good choice to come on. But what I would say is this guy accessed information consistently 3 times and then only divulged twice and said, I don't think I can answer that. That's consistency. And then look at that grief muscle pop when he says it's good and bad. There would be no grief muscle if I'm allowed to get away from the cops and I hurt these children. So I think it's a really powerful telling thing. And I think I'll look forward to seeing more from him, because if he gets in front of the camera more and gets asked the hard questions, it should help him and maybe help find these children. These are babies. Scott, what do you got?
And since we're talking about trafficking, it could be a child or it could be a girl who's almost an adult, or a boy at the same time. And there's a sign you can look for if they're aware of this sign. And if you see somebody take their thumb and put it right there, then cover their hand with it like that, and they may do it 2 or 3 times. It may be behind their back. It may be in the front. They may be sitting there. They may be in a car, and you drive by and you'll see that. That's when you call the cops right then. Don't mess around, because something's up. That's the international sign for I need help. So don't forget, it's just this here. This thumb goes on the inside. And if you're somebody young watching this and you have a problem, do that. You do the same thing, and that'll get you help as quick as it can get to you. That's the sign everybody should know. We should make everybody aware of. All right, fellas, thanks for another good one, and we'll see you next time.
All right. I think they gave their honest opinion about what they think's going on with Daniel. Hopefully they get to a point where they can analyze Malaya. Pat and I ourselves have met Greg and Scott at CrimeCon. They're straight shooters. They're good guys. They're only given their, and I say this in quotes, expert opinion. They don't have a crystal ball. They don't know anything more than that. I know a lot of people don't like the way they analyzed, Don and Candace Wells. Well, I think they knew they were dealing with some wild raccoons there, and they knew they had to treat them a different way or they'd get absolutely nothing out of them. Nothing out of them. But they're I'll say their thesis at the end of their interview was that Candace knows way more than what she's saying. Way more. But I want to say thank you to Uli Girl, who's been a member for 30 months, and an amazing moderator. Can we please have a thumbs up for the channel and a huge round of applause for Uli? Stacy, my girl, 32 months. Man, time flies when you're having fun. Look at me, sounding like Candace. Nani, best chat on YouTube. Love and hugs to all. You better believe it. Gaelic Girl. Hi to all. Sorry can't be there. Girl, don't you even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Jinbug is back. That is right. She said, I've been here for a while. Love being here. Absolutely. You guys are the absolute best. Hey, thanks for being here for all the right reasons. Giving love and hugs and talking and being awesome and just keeping an open mind about things that we don't know until the shit hits the fan. You guys are the absolute best, and I hope you have a great rest of your Monday. I'm working on a video. Now, this is really going to knock your socks off. It's about an abduction that happened over the weekend in Oklahoma. So please make sure you're reminded that you hit that subscribe button. I know a lot of people listen and they're not subscribed, or they get mad at me during the show and they're like, I'm just going to unsubscribe. I don't like what she said. Or that person in chat made me mad. Hey, you're going to want to be here for this. You guys are absolute best. And I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central, unless you catch my video this afternoon. You're the best. Have a good one.